Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer, and today we have the Malone Runway 2-bike platform rack, and we'll take a look at how it fits our 2021 Nissan Rogue. So the owner of this vehicle actually got this bike rack because they're looking for something that is lightweight, where they can easily lift it up and into their hitch receiver, but also is affordable. So that's definitely where this sits. Now you do have some pros and cons with this type of bike rack, like it does take a little bit more work to use its features, like tilt it away and fold it up. And we're gonna focus on that, focusing on the Nissan Rogue. There are two length settings for this bike rack. We have at the furthest out setting, and even then we still have a little bit of a close call when it comes to mountain bikes. So if you have long handlebars, this is something you have to be mindful of as the bike rack shifts around. If you need to tilt the bike rack away with the bike on, this does tilt away. First you need to remove this pin. Now the pin can get stuck within the bike rack shank, so you may have to lift up on the rack in order to completely remove it. So you need to pull the rack out in order to tilt it down. Now this can be really tricky, and you do have to be careful about your windshield and your bikes. We have it pretty tightened down now, so I'm exerting a lot of effort to bring it out. Let's keep wobbling around until we get it clear. So I did tighten down the middle bolt because that's holding the track in so that we don't have as much movement. But the downside to that is if you do tighten down that bolt, you then won't be able to move it out and tilt it away. So this is gonna be the situation you're in. I personally would do without the tilt away feature because it is kind of heavy once you have bikes loaded up. Just something to consider. So what types of bikes can this carry? Well, it does have a 33-pound weight capacity per bike. Be mindful of that when loading this up. And this does have a frame mount. So if you do have a carbon fiber frame or like a step-through bike or even some children's bikes, you may need to get a separate frame adapter bar. To take the bike off, you do have these knobs over by that frame mount. Now you do want the knob with the lock to be on top so that you can secure both of them. With this unlocked, you'll be able to spin this out and loosen it. Once it's loose, you'll be able to slide this up and down. So notice the height of the hook here. And this height of the second bike's hook will be limited by the height where you have your first bike hook. So if you have one that's significantly shorter than the other, you'll want that closer to the inside. Now these do not come completely off without ripping off the end cap. So I'm just going to loosen it, lift up, and then tighten it in the upright position. So let's get this inside bike free. Once you have that hook removed, you can then grab your bike, and ideally you'll want it in a spot where the handlebars don't hit the window, but your pedals don't hit the mast either. So we're going to somehow bring this in, pivot around those pedals, pivot around the car, bring the saddle through, and now we are able to hit the trails. For your different wheelbases for your bikes, you can adjust these cradles by these other knobs, and this allows you to slide the cradles back and forth for longer bikes and shorter bikes. Just make sure to tighten down those knobs. You also have these loops here to hold in your wheels. You do get some hook and loop straps to secure the wheels if you need that extra security. There's also the mast that can be lowered. So this has another pin and a clip. Once those are out of the mast, you can then bring this down in this direction and secure it with the pin and clip here at the end. This is a very compact rack. So measuring from our bumper to the end of the rack by the cradles, that sits at 25.5 inches. So if you have a small garage or you're trying to park into a tight spot, this is going to be good for that distance. Although notice that if you have a bike out here, your handlebars will be sitting out further. Our ground clearance is measured from the end of the rack to the ground 21 inches. And that's also how high you'll be lifting your bikes up and onto the rack. Since this does only have that 33-pound weight capacity, It's not like you're lifting heavy electric bikes on here anyways. You can make this more compact though by folding it up. So see that pin and clip? We're gonna take that out again. And this time it's a slightly different movement to fold up. You just lift up on the rack and you get into a diagonal angle. You still have to lift up and out on the rack. You can see that tight bolt there, which is gonna make this really tricky in order to get into the complete up and down position. Once it's there, you can then get your pin and clip and secure it again. So this is what the bike rack looks like all folded up. Notice how we do have pretty good clearance here in the back, but not enough to open up the hatch. We have pretty much full visibility of our window, our taillights, our license plate, and our backup camera. So that's gonna be great. You're just gonna have to be mindful of when you need to fold it back down, you're gonna have to remove that pin and the clip, fold it down, and put those back in. So it is a lightweight bike rack, it is affordable. The downside really is the extra movement that you have on the rack and that you have to do to get this in tilt-away, in the ready to ride, as well as the fold up position. So hopefully this video showed you how to do that and explained how it would look on your vehicle. This was a look at the Malone Runway 2-bike platform rack on the 2021 Nissan Rogue.